One of the quickest ways to make your street shots feel more three-dimensional and tell a better story is layering. It's a habit I practice nearly every time I'm out. And once you start doing it, your shots will instantly feel richer and more deliberate. Let me show you how to get it right and what settings to use. First off, you need everything sharp from front to back. For these layered scenes, shoot from f8 to f11 to keep everything sharp, and let the camera handle the rest by using auto ISO 100 to 3200 with a minimum shutter speed of 1/250th of a second. That way you can freeze any subjects moving through the scene without worrying about blur. For capturing these layered scenes, I use auto area autofocus in the center mode on my Ricoh cameras, but use whatever focusing method, whether manual focus, zone focusing, or autofocus, that works best for you and your camera. And if it's a bright summer's day, don't forget to dial in some negative exposure compensation. To keep the highlights in check, the sky can blow out really easily otherwise. You can use these same settings in most daylight street conditions. They're simple and reliable. Now for the fun bit, the actual layering. What you're looking to do is to find one or two objects in the foreground that frame your subject deeper in the scene. It can be anything: a railing, a beach hut, a boat, a street sign, whatever you can find that might work as a foreground object. I was very fortunate to find this subject sitting here, but in general, place the foreground element along the bottom edge or tucked into the left or right edge of the frame. This creates a nice sense of depth without dominating the composition. As you can see, you can get really creative and even use people. A quick tip: unless you specifically want to blur out the foreground by getting up close to it and or using a shallow depth of field, don't stand too close to the foreground element. If it's too near the lens and or you're shooting at a wide aperture, it will fall outside the depth of field and turn into a distracting blur. Layers can also work as a leading line to lead the viewer's eye into the center of the composition. Adding layers to your street shots ultimately helps turn a flat image into one that feels deeper and more intentional. You're still focusing on the subject or subjects in the middle or wherever you've placed them, but those little edges of texture and shape gives the whole image more depth and context. As you can see in this shot from the vantage of Broadstairs Harbour, I was lucky enough to have this lovely subject in the foreground, which adds to the context of this British seaside scene. So it was just a matter of me finding the best positioning for the seagull to work as a visual anchor in the foreground of the frame. And these boats also add some storytelling context. A fishing town, boats, beach, subjects, and in the background, a beautiful Victorian town on the cliffs. Just don't be afraid to experiment with different foreground objects, and even consider using a shallow depth of field and get closer to your foreground and still focus on the subject in the middle so that you can blur out the foreground, which helps the viewer hook onto the subject rather than the whole frame. By experimenting with as many foreground objects as you can, you'll delete more than you keep, but you'll start to get a feel for what works. Like most things in life, the more you do it, the better you'll get. So next time you're out shooting, don't just look at what's in front of you. Look at what you can add to the edges of your frame to add some visual interest and tell a fuller story in your photography. If you found this helpful, then give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Plus, consider joining my Patreon for loads of content that you can download and use on the go. And if you want to dig into how to use framing as a compositional tool, then check out this video here. Until we meet again, go forth and create.